Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to a brand new episode of Dungeon Crawl. Thank you for smashing that like button, hitting that subscriber button, and and for smacking that bell so you get a little ding dong whenever we upload a new video.
Do you think YouTube regrets calling the button subscribe now that there are memberships? Because subscription usually means you're paying something.
Yeah, now it's paying money on YouTube. It's like joining, right? It's like join now, I think.
Also, if you're ever lost in the YouTube sphere, like down one of those really big rabbit holes, just look for this really, really bright, shiny spot.
Your glasses?
No, I've got a shiny forehead, man. I'm a healthy, oily boy. My skin will be succulent forever.
Does that mean you're healthy if it's oily?
I just have... The technical term is overly active sebaceous glands.
Ew.
You're welcome. So,
we got a video this time.
Yeah, we do have video this time. It is on. Hopefully it doesn't cut out at some point.
I see the red light on. Everything's going.
I can also see it.
Apologies for last episode.
It happens to the best of us. We may not be the best, but it did happen to us. So does that make us the best? I don't know. But this weekend, dude.
Yeah, this weekend you've been busy.
My goodness. I have never played more tabletop RPGs in my life than I did this weekend specifically.
I'm sure you had culture shock from going from one system to another.
Yeah, no, we were talking in the Pathfinder game that we've been playing, and our GM, she said, you've been playing rules light, rules moderate, and rules heavy. And in that order, I played a Powered by the Apocolypse game. We played D&D in our home game, and it was absolutely ridiculous, but I will not get into being mad at him. I'm not really mad. Man. I'm mad at myself for not believing and trusting in my own.
Yeah, trust your gut, man.
Trust my gut. It was a bad time. You ever had your GM, whatever game you're playing, we are now system agnostic. I would like to say we succeeded in that.
Especially with this episode, we're going even farther off the rails.
And you're like, nah, there won't be another fight after this one. Save your warlock spell slots. There's going to be another fight.
I think it was Qui-Gon Jinn famously said, there's always another fight. There's always a bigger fish.
Until you kill the biggest fish of them all.
Then you're the biggest fish.
Not necessarily.
Why not?
If you've killed a David versus Goliath thing, you're still a small fish.
Yeah, but you're a biggest fish in your heart inside.
What are we talking about?
Yeah, today, so you played a Powered by the Apocalypse you mentioned, which is a...
That's an amorphous blob of stuff.
Which is like, you guys have heard of GURPS, generic something role-playing system. It's a similar idea. It's a all-encompassing thing that people can utilize, morph to fit whatever system and setting they want. And I mean, there's so many different versions of Powered by the Apocalypse. What I think Monster a Week is one of them. Monster
of the Week, If you've seen the Adventure Zone, Amnesty, their second arc,
their website,
whatever, they played Monster of the Week, Powered by the Apocalypse game. I think the whole Live Ian girls are doing a game that's within Powered by the Apocalypse. That page freaks me out.
It does, yes. This is I'm on their website, apocalypse/world.com/PbtA. And it literally shows every single game that is in the system. Surprisingly, it doesn't have Avatar yet, but I guess it's not out yet.
Speaking of which, today, and as always, he's Ryan.
He's Braxton.
We're the Dungeon Crawl, and today we're going to be crawling through the world of Avatar Legends.
Legends.
The quick start guide, at least, as this is accessible to anybody with an email address.
And I will say, for any confusion, because I've had people ask this for the last couple of weeks as we've talked about this, not the blue people. This is the Avatar cartoon animated series.
It has never been, for me, a question. It's always just been, I love Avatar. I'm like, no, I mean the Michael Bay or whatever his name is. Steven, Joe, whatever.
The guy that went to the bottom of the ocean. I know, that's all I know.
He's got a guy name.
The guy that directed Titanic.
That dude, that person.
Now I gotta know his name.
Flashback to my week previously. I have had a little bit more time, thanks to my video game addiction, weaning off. Good or bad, I don't know how you want to look at it. It's on the up and up now. I'm playing Destiny and Genshin Impact a little bit again, but not a ton.
Back.
I'm trying not to.
James Cameron. Probably already got a bunch of comments saying James Cameron. Yeah.
James Cameron. So in our Discord, which link in the description for you, by the way.
Great place to hang out.
Well, yeah, we've got like 4 or 5 games going on, different systems, and I saw Avatar Legends. I watched a ton of Avatar when I grew up. I haven't seen Korra, unfortunately. I've watched a good bit of it, but I was busy at that time in school.
You read any of the books?
No, I haven't. Have you?
No.
Damn.
I actually read one of the comic books, and I don't know if this counts, but just a few weeks ago there was free comic book day, and my girlfriend and I just so happened to be out and about, and we decided to head up to a tabletop store. I was looking for Magic stuff specifically at the time.
Oh, right.
Stuff around the Dallas area. I can't remember.
Sorry,
I actually can't remember.
Probably does remember, but he just doesn't want me to dox him again.
But it just so happened to be free comic book day, and they were like, "Hey, any of those comics back there, you can take up to 5 per person."
Holy heck!
And there were 2 of us, so we took 10. And one of them happened to be a Korra comic book. It's very short. But it was very cool. And I read through that, and it was, interesting. I've only seen part of Korra, so I was kind of lost.
You've seen The Last Airbender, though, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
The Last Airbender.
Great. And I feel like that's a majority of people have seen some of Korra, have watched religiously probably all of Avatar.
I think for a lot of people, and maybe this is getting off of our topic here, but I think for a lot of people, you watched The Last Airbender growing up on Nickelodeon, and then when Korra came out, you're older, at least I was older, that now I don't have Nickelodeon anymore. How am I going to watch it? And it just, it's still interesting. I still love Avatar. I own the Blu-rays for them right over there, but I just never got around to watching Korra. Then it got canceled before it got its full, Time of the Sun.
What?
Yeah.
It was canceled?
It's only got like 3 seasons. They had to rush through the last season or something. I can't remember.
I think that comes down to setting. Aang's world was a bit more interesting, but I love Korra and the characters. So I think that it's important to mention that because there's a mechanic in this game where you get to choose which era you're in, essentially.
Yes.
So that's why I wanted to set the stage.
A lot of eras.
Yeah, there's 4 specifically in this that they mention. I think it's good to get a gauge for how much Ryan and I know Avatar going into this. I'm not an expert. We had some of our friends in the Discord who were just riffing off of each other about things in the Korra world, stuff their characters could be from. And that's a big place to start.
But it's also important to know, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I didn't play in this game, but there were you haven't seen Korra, but there's also another person in the group that I don't think has seen any Avatar content.
No, I think Dum Face, right?
Yeah.
No, he's seen at least a good bit of Last Airbender.
Okay, I hasn't seen Korra at the very least.
Yeah, so he was same level as me.
That's the era they decided to play in. And we can talk later, see how much, if that hindered your fun at all.
Yeah. Well, what I want to start with right now is because I played this. You weren't there.
I was not there.
You're busy bee. You got school going on. So what did you do?
So, first of all, we did mention this earlier, but it's not currently out.
No.
It is on Kickstarter. It should be ending, I believe, on Thursday. Very soon. Very, very soon here. I got it right up here.
Yeah, it's Magpie Games. They're releasing it on the Thursday that's coming up. So this is out on Tuesday. It's September 2nd, I believe.
Well, that's when it's 70 hours from this recording, which will be about, so you got about 60 hours-ish or so left by the time you'll see this episode released. And then I'm sure there'll be a place for you to pre-order it if you miss, whatever. They're aiming to get it fully released out next year. January of 2022 is the estimated release date. It's already got over like $7 million, so that it's definitely...
That's all nostalgia
If you're
money.
worried about your Kickstarter money, you're worried about being excited and not getting finished, don't worry. This is definitely getting finished. And they've added a lot of extra goals to it, so definitely recommend if you're interested in this, hop on over. But now, this we'll be talking about today. Is it worth your money?
Yeah.
It is tough to tell, though, because like we mentioned, it's not out. They just have a little quick start, small little beginner's
It's a
guide.
great chunk of the game.
And they do say this is subject to change. We're still working on some of the logistics. It's kind of like, I kind of look at it like a Unearthed Arcana or a play test for a Pathfinder thing. They have the basic idea. They want more eyes on it to see, A, this is what our product is like, and B, does it work well?
I wouldn't be surprised if there were no changes to this, other than like syntax and quality of life things. Yeah, you read through it at least, front
it's
to back.
It's completely free. Quick start guide, about 56 pages.
You need email, like I mentioned. So, Avatar Legends, the role-playing game. My experience with it up front here, I enjoyed it, but you said it really well. There's some culture shock. Going from playing Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, which is quote unquote easy to start, fairly simple. Sure. Then jumping into Pathfinder as my second experience, which is heavier on the rules, I would say. There's a lot more going into it. And also we did it in a virtual tabletop. which is fairly complicated Foundry, and there's a lot of stuff going on. So there's a bunch of stuff to keep track of that is going on its own. And then you jump into Avatar Legends the Roleplaying Game, which even I think within the Powered by the Apocolypse game library is very, very rules light and more collaborative storytelling.
It seems to me, from my general impressions from reading this, even just like this first page, it seems like they're very much marketing it to completely new people, not even that have played RPGs before, that it's just like, hey, you like Avatar? Well, let's get you into some games. It's like you go to a store and you see a licensed TV show that you like in like a video game, or not a video game, but like a board game format. They're definitely trying to get more people to check out this idea of a system that maybe have never played a tabletop RPG before.
So, I mean, you've got your D6s, Powered by the Apocalypse, trademark of the game, and you roll them to do things, and you've got stats in your character and their attributes that influence it. But this is almost just like those groups of people that get on a Word document together online and they just like type paragraphs back and forth about their world.
Yeah, it very much reminded me, and we'll get into like how the game starts later, but it very much reminded me of, I don't know if you've heard of Microscope. I can't remember the exact name of it, but it's like a tabletop RPG
I know what you're talking about.
Collaborative experience. It's technically GM, you don't need a GM for it. The Game of Time, I think it's called. I don't know. But it's basically you all work together to create a world, places. I've seen people use this as a way to, before you play D&D together, you all collaboratively build this world together and then play in it as a group. And that's kind of how it felt like reading through this. That's very collaborative. Everyone's working together and then you play in the game world together. Yeah,
there's about 4 segments that I would divide this into, and the creator, maybe it might be Brendan Conway, James Mendez, Marissa Kelly, Mark Diaz-Truman. They're all designers, and there's some additional designers as well in here. But a big portion of them is of what they want for this, for their players and their GM or Master of Sessions. I can't recall what it is for Powered by the Apocalypse, but they want an inciting incident. They want the players and characters to have connections already before it starts. They don't want you to just say, here's my character, let's go, and then that's your first time experiencing each other. We can do that in D&D easily, say, yeah, you guys met in a tavern before, blah, blah, blah. But there's a very structured chapter, and that's kind of where I want to start too, even before character creation, where you guys can begin saying, like, what is going on page 8, outline the inciting incident, Act 1, 2, and 3. And they've got 4 examples in each, like, Act 1, we all befriended an ally who gave us access to a valuable item. Act 2, we discovered a terrible truth about location or powerful figure. Act 3, we fought and barely defeated powerful foe. This happened. This is like this is your session 0 and session 1. You experience something, it's done, it's set. You can throw in whatever you want in there, but they want this to be how you guys start.
And does it feel like this works as more of a one-shot or smaller game idea, or could you see this being a full campaign worth? I mean, they describe it as episodes and making it a full season. But I don't know, to me, it seems better for small episodes, just people hanging out, having fun.
I think it leans itself well to that, but you've got your inciting incident, character creation, and you can flip that order around if you want. That's how I looked at it. Playing the game and then resolving the game, essentially. And what I mean by resolving the game is after each session, you look at your character and their values and you judge how into them or against them you acted during this. And you get bonuses and detractors during this. And it's like...
And it's something you do yourself. It's not like the GM
the GM will ask you in particular and say, do you feel like you've met? And it's based off of these classes too, which I'll go to in just a moment.
But it's not like the DM like grabs your character sheet and says you acted this way, you're no longer this.
Definitely that's going to be a thing where you need to find a good GM, because they definitely could do that. But the idea is to be collaborative and ask you, the player, do you feel like you acted towards discipline on your character sheets? So let's jump into the characters themselves, because it leans right into that in particular. You got to scroll quite a bit. So there are, I believe, 5 or 6 character archetypes. In a sense, it's the bold, the guardian, the hammer, the icon, the idealist, and the successor. This is the very end of the book as well. What is that? What's going on? These are the classes, kind of. And if you look at Avatar, Last Airbender, or Korra. Each one of them could fit into one or multiple of these. You can only have one of each in a party, and it's up to 6, so it's a bit more controlled. For example, the Guardian, it's an easy one to explain. They've got somebody who maybe is like Uncle Iroh, and he wants to protect Zuko, and this is the person that he feels his protector's burden against, or for. He balances between self-reliance and trust, not of himself, but of how his guardian or his ward sees him, the person he's protecting. You get certain bonuses depending on how much they listen to you or don't listen to you. If they're more trusting of you, you lean towards a certain direction, or if they're more self-reliant, it's a different way, but it's not necessarily bad. But you can look at this as moments in Avatar where Zuko gets a life lesson after really getting himself burned, haha, pun.
Nice.
And then Uncle Iroh comes in and gives him a speech, and it's more heartfelt. At the end of that session, your GM or Master of Sessions would go, that was a great moment. To me, it seems like they kind of leaned into trust for you, and I'm going to give you a certain amount of bonuses, or due to the mechanics of your class, you get a certain amount of bonuses for acting in that way. And it is mechanized in this. It's not just...
And that's quote unquote how you like would not really leveling up, but like
it's a way to increase
your
stuff.
stats and stuff.
So at the beginning of each session, let me see here. You take a roll for each yes that happens. Do you believe your ward listens to you more often than not? Have you recently protected them or helped them with a problem? Is there an immediate threat to your ward that you are aware of?
Would you say your ward has to be someone in the party?
It can be. And you can change your ward.
Oh, interesting.
It is not something you're locked into, which is wonderful. And each class is as different and unique as this one. I mean, you've got moves that you can pick from. You start with 2 of them. As you level up, you can decide to get more of them or shift your balance, which is this koi fish thing.
Your unique moves for this class. Because I saw there's a group of abilities that everybody can use, and it says there's specific class abilities, and there's also like balance abilities. So it kind of starts throwing some things on. It
does. And I went into this thinking it was going to be fairly simple, but you've got these things like catch a liar. When you are suspicious of someone, write their name here. You cannot write another name until you have made them admit their guilt. Like, this person's all about mind games, reading people so that they can best protect their person, essentially. And then there's a bunch of other characters like the Bold, which is what I played as, and they're all about planning, and they get bonuses when they create a plan, and during the execution of it, you can trigger certain stuff to be able to perform better or worse. So let's go back.
Now, Braxton, let's say, man, I can't wait to play Avatar Legends. I love watching the TV show growing up. I'm hopping into it. None of these classes specifically say I can bend. What do I do?
Bending is not a part of classes in this in particular.
It's open for everybody as far as I'm aware.
It's called training, essentially. So if you want to be a waterbender, firebender, there is no restriction. You create your character and you pick your history, your training, your background, and your demeanor, and a few other things as well.
For those who don't know, bending is your utilizing the elements fire, water, earth, and air, and manipulating them to do what you wish.
Or my favorite bending, weapons bending and technology bending.
Whoa.
Just kidding, as those of you that don't have bending. But in this game, you don't have a weapon that gives you a +2 to hits, or a tool that does the same thing, or bending, essentially. It's something that's a part of your character, and in this collaborative storytelling, if you want to pick up some water that's sitting on the ground or out of your water skin, freeze it, and launch it into somebody's head, you just say you do that, and you take the advance and attack action. Or you defend and maneuver, which is kind of like taking the dodge action. Or you... what's the specific word?
You have to roll 2d6, and if it's a 7 or above, it succeeds.
Yes, precisely. So the final one is evade and observe. And it's a d6 system. 7 and 9 is kind of a mixed success. It happens, but with some deterrent, and then 10 and 12 in between that bracket, it happens really, really well, and maybe more, and then the failure is often not a great thing. So it's really clear and simple.
You Pathfinder fiends, like critical success versus success.
And everything is in an exchange, and it's less so specifically like combat versus role play versus kind of speaking to somebody. Combat does have dictated moves, those 3 that we've depicted before. Everything is just in this idea of storytelling, and there's ways to tell if your character is feared and how that affects you. I don't think we need to get too much into like the actual moves about it. That's the big thing.
Yeah, it's a free thing. So if you're really interested in that type of stuff, you can easily go grab the PDF and check it out yourself.
Yeah. The final thing I want to jump on is, again, that balance idea. So say you are...
That was a little confusing for me to... I feel like
it's
finally
confusing
understood
in play.
it, but it took me a minute to kind of figure out what I was looking at.
Yeah. So say you were like me, you were the bold, and it's a balance between, I believe, confidence and let's see, it's the first one, confidence and loyalty. So the ability on yourself to make a plan to do it, loyalty, working with people and whatnot. It shifts based off of certain people's attacks on you or things you do in game.
Or conversations.
Yes. So if I want to advance an attack, I've got a -2 or -1 to passion. That's what you use to do advance an attack. That's not great. Having a -1 on a d6 really, really lowers your probability. But if I want to lean into my balance and say I've been acting really confident and it's moved over to the +2 section, I may instead, like a spellcaster, use my spellcasting modifier to hit with a weapon, like your Hexblades. You can use confidence to make the attack. The bad thing is, if your confidence is +3, think about therapy. Your patient keeps coming in over and over, and they're getting more and more confident, and they were really self-depreciative before. They're so confident now that it's becoming toxic. If you go past +3, you are hurting the people around you because you are so out of balance. This is these koi fish, and it's like actually in Avatar in the world like this.
Chakrams and whatnot.
Yeah, so think of it as just a sliding thing that moves based off of your character personality and their experiences. It's not something of crazy weird mechanic. It's like an alternate HP bar.
And you can use this for abilities, correct? Yeah, like a moment of balance is what it mentions here. It seems now. Is this? Would you say as we kind of talked on the we talked about the thing that GM doesn't have much to say. Oh, the questions at the end.
Yes.
You kind of ask yourself this, but with the balance system, would you say the GM has a little bit more influence on how this goes up and down for you?
Yeah, I mean, whenever they attack with a NPC or anything like that, they have certain moves that will force you to shift your balance. You can willingly shift your balance. It's a risk thing. There are benefits to being perfectly centered, and there are benefits to being on one side or the other. But it's dangerous. If you're in the center, you have to lean on your stats, which might not be great. Attacking is kind of difficult as the bold.
Which leads me to think, we've been talking here, not really about combat specifically, but some abilities and whatnot. I have not heard any mention of HP or going down. So how does that look in Avatar?
Fatigue is your HP specifically, and you can use fatigue as a resource more. So think like a black player in Magic the Gathering. Your life is something you can use to cast spells and whatnot, and in this, you can use your fatigue to assist your player characters in a negotiation. You take fatigue when you exert your character and try to do something grand or great.
A total of 5 of those.
Yeah, so you basically can use your health to help win certain encounters, be it combat or negotiation, or you take fatigue when people hit you. Once you go to 5 fatigue and beyond that, you are knocked out and unconscious.
No.
And depending on how the attack is, you all may flavor it and decide that this is where my character dies. It is not very clear. It's all about collaborative storytelling and what feels right and what would make the best
family-friendly tabletop game?
No. And conditions like angry, afraid, foolish, guilty, insecure, that's all within your character sheet and stuff like that. And then as you level up every session, every episode, so to speak, you have growth. There's 4 of those, and you get to pick within these growth questions. The GM picks additional moves or shift your balance, just again showing you how important that balance is for you to be effective in the game. But that's really your character. Outside of that, it's where do you want to be from? What do you want to bend or not bend?
I noticed there's a lot of options in here for role-playing ideas.
Yes.
Which obviously, for a system like this that's very hands-off, there needs to be a lot of that incentivized role-playing.
Yeah, my favorite part about this whole system by far is the connection section for your character. Cool. It's kind of like a session 0. It leads into possibly the inciting incident that you've created. So for the bold, it was fun because my 2 connections for player characters specifically are this person scoffs at me and my plans. One day I'll show them what I can do.
Nice.
So it was really funny. We picked Poe, this really strong, bombastic dude who has amnesia from the Air Monastery. I can't remember specifically the name for it, you can correct me, fans of the Avatar Last Airbender, in the comment section below. We picked him because he's a confident dude that will laugh at things that seem ridiculous, but once they work, great. We get in game, and the same person who GMs our Pathfinder games, every time I made a plan, they were prying for more details, and they were like, this doesn't seem right. How are we going to do that? We're just going to go in and attack people. And it wasn't like player antagonism. It was role playing, and it made sense because they were half-baked plans. And I go, can I change this from Poe to this person's character? And everybody was freaking dying, and the GM let us do that. And the other one is Blank has a pretty good head on their shoulders. They're a great sounding board for my ideas. And this is an awesome way to help you know how to interact in role play and social encounters. When people have anxiety in real life, you don't have the programming in your brain to help you identify what to do in a certain situation. And when people are role playing in RPGs, role playing doesn't happen when people don't know how to exist, do, or be.
Right.
But when you have these connections, you make a plan, and then that person will probably come in and maybe doubt your plans a bit, and you act more confident and say, I'll show you.
It's similar to the I'd say more specific than the D&D bonds, ideals,
much more specific
flaws area. It just gives you stuff to pull off of in conversation.
Yeah. I may implement some sort of connections thing specifically in every game that I GM.
Yeah.
Every single game. And it doesn't have to be a big old massive sentence. I will just go to that player and say, give me 2 sentences that can be related to any player in the party, kind of contrasting ideas about your personality and how they might interact with you. And I'll collaborate and come up with them.
Yeah, help it out.
Yeah, it would be super, super cool. But that was by far my favorite part that really helped me get into it, in addition with the inciting incident. I absolutely love the collaborative storytelling there. But once we got in the game, it was very much on us to move every single inch and facilitate the entire process of playing this tabletop role-playing game. And it's not like D&D and more so Pathfinder where the mechanics push things over. You roll a dice, HP goes down. There's a spell and ability that forces somebody to act in a certain way. There are mechanics that dictate how the game goes, much like how an online game has turns that automatically shift to the next person once something has been met. Everything in this is on you to move it forward. Everybody is a GM in a sense.
I think, obviously I didn't play, but I think I get that idea because it feels very much like it wants to incite the same feeling as the show does, and give you this like kind of larger than life feel where you are the dictator of everything that's happening.
Yes.
And it's cool. It's cool, but I think it's also, as Braxton was saying, it can be a little strange for people not used to that idea. Where I'd say D&D and Pathfinder, most tabletop RPGs, it's like the world kind of molds and like pushes you in different ways. While in this, it feels like you're pushing the world and you're making the things happen. You're going out there and doing and saving the world, and being like the Avengers of the world's just being crazy and bombastic.
Yeah, you look at your fighter in Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, you've got a sword that you can whack with somebody to hit for a certain amount, and it does a certain amount of damage, and when their HP drops at a point, they die. In this, it's, I'm going to advance an attack. Okay, how do you do that?
Yeah, you really got to talk about it and flavor it and say it and put the spin on it. And it mentions a lot in the reading, the fiction being what's happening in the actual world. Like, you may advance an attack and you describe what you're doing. The fiction is that actually playing out like you're watching the show. And
you might ask me, well, Braxton, we do that in our D&D game all the time, and they do it in Critical Role. They'll roll their dice, do their attack, and then they flavor it with, they hold it over their head, slash it down, and bisect it.
But that has an actual mechanic attack to it, yeah.
The flavor you're saying has almost no bearing on what happens outside of maybe inspiration, and if your GM loves going by the rule of cool. But regardless, your weapon does a certain amount of damage. Maybe you crit or not. Maybe you hit or not. In this, the way you word something might even turn it into a crit depending on where you rolled on the D6 spectrum. And if you just said, I'm going to shoot an icicle, a sharp object through this guy's head, he's going to be dead probably if that hits. Versus I'm going to bludgeon him with a sizable just block of ice. He's probably going to be battered and bruised even if you get his fatigue points all the way down. But he's probably not going to be dead, versus needing to use a lethal or non-lethal weapon in Pathfinder. It's all up to you. And that can be daunting when you're coming in from a new player's perspective.
Yeah.
Having mechanics to guide you and hold your hand really helps. And it showed in combat where this works in the method of those who are waiting and watching, doing that sort of attack style, go first because they are observing. This is like holding an action.
There's no
possibly.
like initiative in
the initiative is these moves in particular. And if you're going to defend and maneuver, that's second. And if you're advancing and attacking, that's last. So we were just like waiting for something to tell us what to do, and it wasn't coming. And the GM, he was doing great teaching us how to do it. This is like second or third time running this, but it slowed down a lot. And this is something I feel almost even more than learning the rules in Pathfinder. This would be absolutely amazing if people didn't need to say, I am doing X and Y, I'm doing this mechanic. Whenever you know this game like the back of your hand, you say advance attack, you roll your dice, nobody mentions it or looks at it, they can see it, and you just speak and you just improv with some light facilitation from dice and character mechanics.
I feel like this idea would be really fun with a lot of like professional improv people.
Yes, that's why the Adventure Zone did it. It's
with Powered by the Apocolypse.
Yeah. It's something that can allow you to almost truly go into theater of the mind. Like there is no distance moving near people. If you're near them, you're near them. You would probably love this, but it isn't the thing that I keep expecting to jump in and let the rules teach itself to me. There are basic moves, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them. Each of them have a lot of text under it. Balance moves. There's a lot of things to do that you just need to understand conceptually. Right. There are no numbers that can quickly pull it up in your brain and let you remember that, oh, this one just does 1 damage. There's no keywords to look for.
I feel like it'd be really cool to like play this and record it and then edit out all the extra talking in a combat situation and just like hear like have it go down and a list like actual like I'm watching a like a audio production play go by.
Well, think about it. The successor, this can be Izuko, who goes maybe more into the tradition. He fits in freaking every single one of these, dude. But a well-written character is multifaceted. So,
true.
You know, and they say that in this as well. So Zuko maybe leaning into more of the tradition of the Fire Nation or progressing, however he sees that, moving away and towards something else. Your GM tells you to shift your balance towards progress. That fuels your one-liner that's coming up. And literally, it's one of those character moments in an episode where you're crying because maybe Zuko just hangs out with the gang a bit more and becomes more of a human. That is literally a balance shift, but it's put into this role-playing game, into this mechanic. And like you said, if you edited it out, this is forced character development in a game. It puts it in there.
I mean, that's good.
It's facilitated character development. And that's why I really love it. And I was riffing on the combat a bit more before. That's purely on me. Any complaints I have about this game is because I did not know.
Well, it makes me curious to see, you're talking about the combat and different techniques and moves you can do. This, to me, 56 pages feels like something they could sell right now. Like it feels like a complete. So I'm very curious to see what they will add. We know they're adding more NPCs and stuff, you know, especially for GMs and techniques and whatnot. But I'm curious, like, what specifically are they gonna add? More moves? Are they gonna add? I don't know. I'm very more classes kind of stuff. I'm very interested, very intrigued, and I'm curious to see what they'll do for the next like 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, I'd love to dive into it more, but I genuinely need to play it a ton, and I want to get people together that.
Well, it sounds like one of those things that it's tough to talk about, and it's more so something you have to like see and experience to really understand how it plays out.
Even if you read it a ton and you memorize everything, it slows down in the first session. It's a lot of fun. It's tough to play, and deceptively, you know, like, oh, it's just 2d6, right? That's it. Every single roll, easy. Sliding through this thing, like they've organized it, I think, in a really well and clear-cut way, but there's just a lot of things you can do.
Yeah.
It's, if you can do it in real life, you can do it, and there are mechanics that can be facilitated through it. So you do need to know.
For all you crazy GMs out there, they do have some adventures. They have an adventure in the quick start as well as adventures that are going to be coming out with the completed game in January. So if you don't want to homebrew, I mean, not really homebrew, if you don't want to kind of make your own stories, there's options in here for you guys to just play, pick up and go.
So what I want to do, and every time we play a new system, is ask the game master, or whatever the term is, just a digestion on what happened, and maybe even the players. And I did get their point of views in case mine wasn't well worded enough.
Well, you're one player, and we're not the end all be all when it comes to opinions on things.
So I love our GM here, Coley Frog, in our Discord. Set it up so interestingly. You asked me to send you a write-up. Enter. Here you go.
Okay.
Period. Enter.
Scary.
It's not. I don't think it's scary. I think that's just how I typed it. The session was great. The players played the roles and had no troubles interacting with the others in character. It helped that most are familiar with the series the game was based on. I was expecting to teach the game since most players were new to the system, but the players easily grasped the intent behind the mechanics, which made it easier. I was worried that some wouldn't like the inciting incident and the connections portion of the session 0, but everyone seemed to enjoy it, and unanimously, I think everybody liked it. The combat was slow and halted the pace of the game. I am still not used to the combat section of this game since it is a new way of doing combat in PbtA, powered by the Apocolypse, in general. The players certainly aren't used to it either. So I think those might be contributing factors that slowed the pace. Hopefully now that the players have actual experience playing within the system, future games would flow smoother. And this was supposed to be a one-shot, but
I imagine so.
Curse of one-shots, they don't.
Yeah, one shots are never one shots.
No.
Unless you cut things out as you play.
Yeah, which can be tough to do. And I did get some point of views from the other players as well. There's a lot here. Do you want to read off some?
Yeah, we can pick a few. Maybe see if you can grab like one or two that have different opinions of your own.
Yeah. So I asked them, toss me your thoughts as a player for the rules, character creation, inciting incident, and playing. Everybody seemed to enjoy the rules and whatnot, but I think Dark Champion in our Discord, the rules felt weird to me, though that's mostly because I've only played D&D before, although there being a set pass-fail for every roll, 1 to 6 fail, 7 to 12 pass, feels a bit off compared to DC and D&D, where the difficulty of a task is reflected in the dice. So I think that's going to be a big portion of people's critiques.
Sure.
You're either going to like the D6 system or you're not going to like the D6 system.
That's a common thing in rules light systems like this, where it's I think it's very much designed, we talked about this earlier, very much designed around you grabbing some friends that like the setting of this Powered by the Apocalypse game, sitting down on the table, quick explanations. All right, this is how you play. We can, make your character real fast. And then whenever something happens, just roll 2d6. Tell me the number. We'll add it to this number that's on your sheet. Boom, it happens or it doesn't happen. So I think if we say D&D is very fast and quick to get into, this is much faster. If people have never played a tabletop game before and just want to sit around and hang out with some friends, probably much faster to get into.
The thing I will say that I've been realizing even more and more now that I've played other systems is it literally is all about who you're playing with.
100%.
Every one of these game systems is great. Hands down. They wouldn't be this successful or widely played if they weren't.
Yeah, if you're playing some system and you find yourself you're not enjoying it, maybe it's the GM, maybe it's the style of the players that you're with, I'd say at least give it 1 or 2 more tries with a different group, and then you can maybe get a idea, or run it yourself and see how you can how you feel then.
Yeah, playing with a DM being Ryan in our home game for 5 years, you get to see him from his beginning to now. There's been so much fluctuation, and rough. I've been in and out of it depending on my life situation. But
I've even seen even players. I mean, that was one of your first games you ever played in, and then I think most of everyone that was in that first campaign and in the second campaign was very much some of their first experiences with D&D. And it's cool seeing people grow and enjoy the system more.
I wish we streamed it.
That would be fun.
Because the interactions can be monotonous at times, just because it's a true homebrew just us playing game, right. And people do like watching that sometimes. But that's
how Matt Colville's MCDM's The Chain was very much opposite of Critical, just people sitting around a table playing their game, and I think they took it off. I can't remember if they still do it, but it was enjoyable to watch. I just don't have the time for long form. If you don't have the time for long form actual play podcast, check out Dungeon Chronicles. Just about an hour and a half per week. There you go.
Somewhere around there. Yeah, what I will say is a big reason why I'm GMing that right now is because A, I wanted to learn, and B, the others are busy as hell. So I think it's really fun to see the growth in that. And the last thing I want to mention off too with one of the players in the game as well is if you experience social anxiety or you have a hard time opening up to people, I will say, A, find a group that is really conductive to that and will help you grow and learn and get more comfortable. But B, I would say this game is really hard to play if you have social anxiety and aren't comfortable with creating a story with other people.
There's nowhere to hide behind the mechanics. And like if I'm the GM and I ask you, you haven't said anything, I'm like, hey, so what is Karfnog doing? And you're like, and you look at your sheet and say, he's, doing this with this item outside or something. It's easier instead of when this, like, you look at your sheet, you just got a bunch of like things that you need to describe how you're doing them anyway. Mm-hmm. I see how it could be overwhelming and tough to
there's nothing to lean
describe.
It's just you. Up to. And that's a big part of acting and theater that I've learned about. But overall, I would say, and I don't want to restrict it to just people who are near improv level of greatness and acting. But if you've got a group of people who are good at shooting the shit, and you guys are like a comedy trio or
we're all
duo,
sitting around drinking, having fun.
You're really comfortable with these people. Jump in, sit with the rules for a bit, try a couple of things, and then act those characters and start a new one. And just live through this. Like, I think this would be a great thing to buy and pick up and just play on occasion.
Do you think, and I should have asked this earlier, but I completely forgot. Do you think that not knowing the world that it's in is a hindrance? Or could I grab a friend that's never watched Avatar, say, hey, let's play in Aang's era. Let's have a blast. Maybe other people know the game. Or maybe literally no one besides me, the GM, knows the game. Or maybe I don't even know the game, but I just want to play it.
I would first check out other Powered by the Apocalypse games because I have not played or read many of them. So I don't think I can give an accurate answer, but I think their game system and the implemented character growth through balance is so interesting and fun and conducive to a great story that anybody could genuinely enjoy this. It seems
pretty, I won't say agnostic, so 100% takes place within the Avatar world, but it seems like you could even take the ideas of here and then put your own homebrewed world over it.
Absolutely, if you wanted. I do want to mention that there are 5 eras, and the ones we know that we've seen animated are flashbacks of the 100-Year War, Aang's era, and Korra's era. But there are 2 even farther back, Roku's era and Kyoshi's era.
Which we just heard a lot, like in the shows and comics and whatnot.
And those are, like, a lot of stuff has happened. And these are in the books as well, but you could very well pick one of these that nobody knows.
I wonder if they'll add. I don't know if there are more eras for them to add, but I wonder if they're going to add on to those. They might have longer descriptions of those, because in the quick start guide, it just has play in this era if you like this theme, play in this era if you like that theme. So obviously, if you do not know those eras well, then just with the quick start guide, you probably will not be able to play in them, at least to keep it faithful to the world. Yeah,
and I will mention that we didn't go through much of the GM's tools because I didn't GM this and Ryan didn't either. But that is in this quick start guide for sure. There's a lot of stuff that they can do under the table that's really cool. But those are kind of my first thoughts of playing it in general. Again, I'm not some sort of expert on tabletop RPGs yet. At some point, I'll have so many years under my belt that I can't refute it. But just a casual overlook at it. I really enjoyed playing the game, and we're going to have another session coming up, and I'm excited about it.
It's worth $20.
Oh, hell yeah.
You get all the PDFs, which means all these stretch goals, which they were, this started for what, 50, what the hell? This started with asking for 50,000. They're almost at 8 million. That's a lot of stretch goals.
Yeah.
So you get a lot of content for $20. And this is the one worry with Kickstarter. I'm not sure is if you miss out on this Kickstarter, if you back it or pre-order it later, you might not get all the stretch goals in there. So if you're really excited for this, go back, and that link will be in the description below.
If you're looking for a game that has a good facilitation away from the dark, sad backstory, which literally is a class in this game, it is one of those playbooks. It really facilitates fun and comedy and everything.
It feels like, and this again, a testament to them keeping it true to the show.
Very much so, yeah.
It feels like this. Not completely kid. Because it is family friendly, I guess, and Avatar is a very family friendly show. But there's still some serious moments in there. It feels like has a lot of hope built into the system, like a lot of happy moments, a lot of cool experience. You said rule of cooler, very much getting to do what you want, and of course it might not go exactly the way you want it to, but you're able to pull from literally anywhere. And I feel like kids would love this system.
Oh my gosh,
they're just riffing on like, I'm gonna take the fireball, bend it, and shoot it out, and Yeah, like ride it around like Aang did in that one episode.
What I really love is you could remove as many mechanics from this as you want without breaking the game and make it simple for kids. You just give them the defend maneuver, advanced attack, and evade observe, and just say play games and roll d6.
Dude, I would love to like run this for a kid's birthday party or something. That'd be fun.
Absolutely. And the last thing I want to leave off of was the inciting incident we had. It was so silly too. I'm an icebender, so like randomly I suggested that we were in one of these big cities in the world, and I said, okay, we're gonna go with we did something fun but drew the ire of a powerful figure in the process. I made an ice roller coaster, and we were skating through the city having a good time, and we ran through a fire gang's kind of device that they were building. I could get more technical, but we broke it. We drew the ire of that person. An ally came in, somebody from one of our player characters' background, got hurt in the process. We defeated them. They had been captured, the player character's background character person thing, and our jumping into it was to get that person back from the gang. So it just kind of like
sounds like an episode.
Really fun. It sounds like an episode, and like we had that and contrasted with another player character went into a social encounter and tried to negotiate with somebody and critically failed, and they were marked with the afraid thing, and I was able to jump out and console them and literally just talk to their character about their anxiety, and it was pretty cool. It can be of all spectrums, just like the show. So really true to it, and that's my final statement. Locking in my answer.
Nice. Yeah, I'm interested to see where this goes.
Yeah. I'd play it again.
Yeah. Well, you are playing it again, so.
I mean, like with other people.
Oh.
You know. But yeah, I don't know if you're interested in joining in on any of these games that are going on. We do have some socials and things that you can jump into at Dungeon Crawl Pod on Twitter and Instagram, and you can also jump into our Discord at the link tree in the description below, where we've got Pathfinder games, D&D games, people who are wanting to start legit whole ass campaigns. They could probably go on for a long time if you're looking for a group. I have not met a single person in this Discord that is not great.
Groups can be hard to come by, so
yeah.
Come on in here. We have people hungry to play.
Yeah, and we got an email from somebody.
I know.
Which I forgot to pull up, but they complimented us. And if you want to grab what I'm talking, it was super, super sweet. I always joke about it being like super old fashioned, but like it takes that bit of extra effort. If you want to just shoot us a nice little comment on Gmail, thedungeoncrawlpod@gmail.com. Help us filter through our spam by showing us your wonderful little icon on Gmail. Yeah, if you want to read it, you can.
Yeah, this is, we'll give them a shout out. Hell yeah. So this is, I don't know if Mike, I'll say Mike. They said, hello. Hey, Mike, what's up? I just realized we didn't reply to this. Mike, we're going to reply to it right here, and then maybe I'll send you a message later. Really enjoying you guys delving into the Pathfinder 2e stuff. We are as well. We'll be tuning in more regularly while I'm working. Well, I hope we keep your work days interesting. A friend of theirs runs a West March campaign, which actually, now that I think about it, would be a fun topic to cover on Dungeon Crawl. West March
Doesn't Kenneth love West March?
He likes, I think, I don't know. I know he likes the idea. I don't know how much he's into it. But we have a couple in the Discord that have talked about it. West March is very interesting, kind of like, almost like popcorn DM style, where everyone else kind of, you can just toss around who's playing, who's the DM in this. It's very interesting. They're streaming on Twitch along with their prep. If you want to pick up games, so asking if we want to hop into it or just check out prep, because prep's always interesting to watch. And I've actually never seen a West March style game in Pathfinder, so this is what they're doing. It seems very interesting. Twitch.tv/jmosky.
Wait, did they ask if we wanted to join? Is that what they meant by a pickup game?
Yeah, if you wanted a pickup game.
Hell, I might.
That's like, you know what pickup game is, where if, hey, I'm playing some basketball later, bro, you want to pick up a game?
I didn't know that. Truly, old lingo.
Yeah, the twitch.tv/jmoskie. If I remember, I'll add it in right.
You might see me there.
Right underneath us, right here. Yeah, we'll send them a message. Maybe we'll hop in. That could be fun. With them on Twitch. They tell us to keep up the good work. You too, Mike and Jay Mosky.
Yeah, if you've got your own communities, I'd love to hang out with you guys and see what y'all are up to. I need to get connected with more people out there.
Yeah, that could be super fun. West March style is definitely, it would be something that we could easily hop into, because it's very much. Each session is not necessarily connected. You can kind of hop, kind of like Adventurers League-esque style, but way better than Adventurers League.
Yeah.
Adventurers League sucks.
And my last thing here is if you want to help us and support us by means of the Patreon. That is a thing that you can do. We do have one of those, like many of the other content creators out there. It's helped us feel more confident to buy things like
Yeah.
lights that look a little better and cameras
It's
that
making
we've got.
your face all shiny.
We don't have that many patrons, but every little bit helps. We have several tiers, and one of the later twos, the Dungeon Crawlers tiers, which are probably floating on the screen here, still have Squid sitting there.
Our man.
He's on the throne. Our man. He's been here for a long time. Thank you so much for the support, and everyone else on our Patreon. Thank you. Thank you.
Even if you can't support us on Patreon, we'll drop in some money. We got a $1 tier, $5, $10, and $25 tier. If you don't have any cash on you, the support the last few months even just this last month or two has been insane.
Just getting views has been
the comments,
wonderful.
The thumbs up, the subs. We were at 70 subscribers a month and a half ago or something like that. We're at now 135 at the time of this recording. So thank you. I think that's a testament, first of all, to the Pathfinder community. My
really
God,
is,
everyone's so kind out there. But also just all you people that are watching this. Obviously, if you're watching this video, you decide to watch a non-Pathfinder or D&D video, which is, I applaud you.
Hopefully it was a thumbnail that got you.
Hopefully.
I don't know.
Last thing we do want to mention is we've kind of tossed around the Avatar stuff. We always say the stuff at the end. There's a little bit of tidbit, a little bit of research that I do in my own time.
Yeah.
A little bit of Avatar nonsense. In the show, I don't know if this happened with Korra, you don't know either, but with Aang, this is no spoilers by the way, but he'll go I hate to say Super Saiyan mode, but he'll his eyes will close up.
It's Avatar state.
Yeah, it's Avatar state. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
I went into my own Avatar state not too long ago. I was seated in my room, kind of in this dark space. Woke up this morning, actually, specifically headed to class, and I was very groggy, tired. But my hands, the veins started to glow all up my arms, my back. I had to take off my shirt. I was ripped, shirtless in my bedroom. And I saw things. I saw us in the past.
Oh, wow.
I know. Because you could see all the... Isn't that how the Avatar say? You could see all the stuff in the past.
Hopefully you didn't go to middle school era.
No, it did not take me that far. It just took me far enough to see the dungeon crawl stuff. Nice. And then... I don't know. I don't think this actually happens in the show, but I saw the future. I saw the future
in the past.
No, I saw I saw us in the past. Then I went to the opposite direction. Saw us in the future, and I saw us there. The two of us. We were happy, having fun, and there was a webpage in front of us. We were looking at it together, and we were happy, crying, tears pouring out of our eyes, and we gave each other hugs. And we said, look at this. And there was comments and reviews all over the Apple Podcast page, rating us 5 stars, saying, man, I love this podcast, great work. And you know what they did? They turned around and looked at me and said, this will be you. And then I got shoved out of I got shoved out of the Avatar state.
Yeah, the Avatars, as technology got high enough and, war starts going down, which, it depends. Podcasting is where the Avatars go now.
Yes. So that's what happened to me. So I guess if you want that to happen to us,
get your little
go to Apple Podcasts.
Go on to Apple Podcasts. Yeah, I learned some stuff about hand gestures when you're speaking. Palms are very powerful.
Palms are powerful. I mean, there's the whole palm reading stuff.
Back of the hand's not as powerful, and then pointing is the least powerful.
Tell it when I backhand you.
So get up from your seat, go to your computer, onto Apple Podcasts.
Oh, nice.
Look at that.
And we will see you next time. He's been Braxton.
Oh man, he's been Ryan. What the heck?
Thanks for crawling with us.
Oh, he got it. Nice.
And we'll see you guys next time for a great episode. We're probably going to go back to making a finally D&D specific episode, or if not, at least system agnostic, fantasy, kind of the not history, but kind of lore, fun stuff that we've done in the past. So,
yeah, it's been a while.
I know. We've been very busy with Pathfinder, and it's kind of fun. I think it's interesting to delve into other systems, Avatar included, see what works in those, take it into the systems you already love, and inspire you to change and add things that maybe are not specifically rules as written in the book.
And if you want to jump into the Dungeon Chronicles as well, there's a story going on right now, but I wouldn't say you'd miss too many spoilers. It's like jumping into the Avatar after all those other eras that happened before. You watched The Last Airbender. You didn't go back and read all the books before? Dude, spoilers, what the heck? I'm just kidding. Come hang out with us in there. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. We'll be streaming it in a week time.
Yeah, a week from the day that this episode comes out.
Yeah. Around 7 p.m. CST on our Twitch, which is in the link tree. See you next time, everybody.
I don't know. Does Aang do this?
I think so.
It does when he's on his little ball.
Yeah, riding around. Yeah.
Goodbye.
See ya.